All right, fantastic. Well, we have reached the top of the hour, so I think we'll go ahead and get started here. We've got a few minutes of kind of admin, housekeeping tasks to take care of here. So as folks trickle in, we'll go ahead and let them do so. But very exciting time for us at Recurly. We've got an entire webinar here on item catalog. Super excited to be here with you presenting on this, along with my colleagues, Erica Griffith, who is a Recurly product manager in charge of item catalog, and Jay Washington, who is going to be presenting today from the technical support engineer standpoint on item catalog. So action-packed presentation here. We'll kind of keep it under an hour and kind of give you the full 360 of item catalog, something we've been working on for the last few months here at Recurly. So we'll go ahead and kick things off here. My name is Alex Kroll. I'm a customer operations specialist. My job at Recurly is to ensure that our customers are getting the most value out of our platform. So I'm someone who's a customer advocate, product knowledge, best practices, and it's super important when things like item catalog come up that my team helps our merchants understand the value and how this can benefit their business. And item catalog in this instance is a big deal. It's something that can really help streamline how you sell your goods and services. So just to look at our agenda today, as soon as I finish up speaking here, I'm going to turn it over to Erica Griffith, as I mentioned earlier, to talk about catalog from a product standpoint. So what is catalog? What was the reason for implementing something like this? And really just getting an overview from product standpoint. And then we're going to turn it over to Jay Washington to talk about catalog from a technical support standpoint. This is super important because, as a merchant, it's important to see new features in action. It's important to see them in terms of businesses that are similar to your own, right? So use cases are very important, because we understand when a company tells you about functionality, the benefits, it's also an extra layer to actually see it in action. So see it in a business just like yours. After that, we're going to turn it back over to Erica to talk about some future functionality that's coming in the next couple weeks. And then we'll wrap it up here with a question and answer session. So we have some questions that were asked, when we were sending out the email about the webinar, so we'll get to those. And I also want to mention on the right side of your screen, you should see a nice horizontal box that has a chat feature. You can see that I've chatted a couple times in it, but if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them there. I'll take note of them and we'll be sure to get to them at the end of this presentation. And just a couple other things, this webinar will be recorded. So we'll have everything for you afterwards if you want to share with your colleagues. If you just need to review the presentation over again, we'll have it on our YouTube channel. We'll be posting on social. And then, of course, I'll be sending a follow-up email with that information as well. And one last note here to mention is if you do have a Recurly Sandbox account and you learned some things about item catalog today, the Sandbox account is a fantastic way to test out this functionality. Every Recurly merchant should have a Sandbox account. You're probably pretty familiar with it, testing out other elements of Recurly. But it's a great way to go in, create some items, and kind of get used to that functionality before you implement to your production site. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Erica to talk about catalog from the product standpoint. Erica?
Perfect. Thanks, Alex. If you don't mind flipping one more slide. There we go. Like Alex said, my name is Erica Griffith. I'm a product manager here at Recurly. I've been working with products and data in the financial services space for almost 10 years now, and I led the team of engineers, designers, quality folks that designed and built the catalog functionality here in the Recurly platform. Can you flip one more, Alex? So to start with, let's define a catalog so we're all on the same page. Kind of in the context of Recurly in our application, an item catalog is a list or a collection of everything that you offer for sale to your customers. So these offerings can be physical goods, they can be digital products, they can be services, whatever serves your business and your business model. So here at Recurly, we use the term item very intentionally because the things you put in your catalog, your offerings as a business, can be highly varied and incredibly unique to you. They're not strictly services, they're not strictly products. So we opt for kind of that blanket term of item that can encompass all of your offerings. And the catalog really captures detailed information about each of these items. So identifiers, a unique identifier, description, tax information, accounting information, pricing in every currency that you support. So some of that metadata around the offerings that you sell to your customers. So the catalog really encompasses the things you sell, the what of your business, not necessarily related to how you sell those things. The catalog is really the what. And so why would you want to document all of your sales offerings in an item catalog? And kind of more specifically, why would you do this in connection with your Recurly account? So gathering all of your offerings into a catalog will help save you time by creating each item only once and consolidating the management of those offerings into one place. It also a really strong push for catalog on the data side. It also guarantees consistency in your data in terms of unique identifiers, descriptions, prices, tax treatments, and stuff like that for the offerings that you sell. So this significantly reduces the risk of errors in your data and in your reporting. And if you sell the same offerings via multiple different sales channels, so you sell the same thing online and in store or via one-time purchases and recurring subscriptions, this data centralization and cleanliness becomes even more important, both to support kind of flexibility in your pricing and packaging and to ensure consistency in your data going forwards. Because that consistent data is what allows you to easily analyze sales across all of these channels and provide you with better decision making through improved understanding, improved insights of what you're selling and how it's selling in different ways and at different price points. And then depending on your selling platform, consolidating all of your metadata for your offerings into a catalog can make it a lot faster and easier to sell those products at the actual point of sale because you don't need to capture nearly as much information about that offering on the spot. And then on the back end, having this really organized item data makes it a lot faster and easier to integrate different portions of your tech stack and transfer data across these different systems because you have all of these tools kind of speaking the same language. So in Recurly, the item catalog functionality, if you haven't gone in and played around with it much yet, is going to take on a very familiar form if you leverage catalog functionality in any other tools. Excuse me. You can populate your catalog in Recurly manually, or you can link it to an external catalog that you already have in use to retain a single source of truth. And then once you have that catalog in Recurly populated, you can sell the items within it however suits your business model. So you can sell them as one-time purchases, you can sell them as standard recurring offerings on your subscription plans, or as customized offerings on individual subscriptions. And like I mentioned earlier, you can even sell the same item in all three of these ways if that fits your business model. So you're really leveraging the operational efficiency of creating these items once and being able to sell them and analyze those sales across all of the possible sales channels that you could leverage as a business.
Fantastic, Erica. Well, we appreciate that. That was awesome. Great insight into item catalog. And with that, we're going to turn it over to Jay Washington to talk about catalog from a technical support standpoint.
Good morning. My name is Jay Washington, and I work on the technical support team as a technical support engineer. So when something goes awry or you have a question, I'm one of the people that you'll reach out to. Today, I'm going to be presenting a use case demo for our item catalog feature. Next slide, please. So first up, let's meet our mock merchant. Pink Lizard Toys and Gaming is the hottest craze you've never heard of. They sell popular play sets and accessories, as well as hosting an online gaming platform where customers can use digital coins for enhanced play. They have a hybrid billing model offering their monthly subscription box bundle at 3 price points. Each subscription includes a combination of physical goods as well as digital goods. And each plan has a $10 base fee, a mini mystery fig bundle that's physically shipped to the customer, as well as a digital coin bundle. They also support one-time purchases of their play sets and accessories or additional digital coins for online use. Next slide. So for Pink Lizard, creating a catalog is the perfect solution. It allows them to create each item once to sell in a number of ways. For physical goods, since they offer that mini mystery fig, they can sell that individually or bundled at the plan level. They also offer individual play sets. So creating these physical goods as items is going to allow them to create a universal listing with default pricing that can be easily updated via the API or admin console. Since they also offer digital items in the form of their coin bundles, they can create items for each coin bundle that can be added to any plan or included as a one-time charge. Item sales information can also be pulled via our adjustments export or the adjustments in the API. Next slide. So now we're going to move over to the demo. We'll go over creating items, building plans with items, creating purchases as both recurring and one-time charges. And then finally, we'll look at disabling and re-enabling items. So first up, we're going to create a couple of items. So give me a moment and I will share my screen with you. Okay, you guys can see my screen now.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, so first up, we're going to create a physical item. We're going to create a 5 minifig bundle. So in our dashboard, we're going to navigate to our configurations, and under configurations, we have items, which I'm on. So and now we're going to create a new item. So since this is a 5 minifig bundle, we'll just call it the 5 mini mystery figs. Item code. So the name is going to be how your end user sees the plan or the item. This is via the hosted payment pages or if you're accessing through the API. The item code is how the item is identified at the hosted payment page level or the API. So we're going to create a name for this that's going to follow our previous configuration. So we have mystery. That's our item code. And then the external SKU is how the item is identified outside of Recurly. So this can be used to track your physical inventory. If you want to use the manufacturing ID number for Pink Lizard, they have a specific setup. First 2 digits are letters and then followed by some numbers. And then the accounting code is optional. It is helpful for tracking items in your financial reporting. We don't have to use this, and so we're not going to use this one for this example. And then finally, we have the description. This is internal, so your agents or your team would see this description unless you configure it in your API to display on a custom checkout. So we're just going to add a quick header. And then default pricing. So this is the default pricing for your item. This can be MSRP. It could be the current price that you want it listed as. This can be overridden at any time, but we're going to start off with, we're going to set this as, let's see, set this as 10. And so we hit create. Oh, sorry. And now we have our mini mystery fig, the 5 bundle. So let's create one more. Let's create a digital item. And so we go back to our configurations items. We're going to create a new item. And this one is going to be for a 25 coin bundle. So we have our name, we have our item code. This is via the hosted payment pages and API. External SKU, we're going to follow that format that we have for our other items. And then a brief description for our team. And then the default pricing of this is going to be $5. And we create our item. So now we've created 2 items. We've got our five mini mystery figs, and we have our 25 coin bundle. And so now we're going to add these to a plan so our customers can subscribe. So navigate back to our configurations plans. And let's add both of these items to our core plan. So we have our plan, it bills monthly, it's got that $10 base rate, but no other items on it. So I'm going to select edit. And so now I come down here to this plan add-on section, and it gives me the option to select a pre-existing item or to manually create an item. And we already did the work, so we're just going to select our items from here. So we'll start with the 25 coin bundle, and we have it there. We can see the external SKU. We have the option at this point, we can change the price for this, or we can just leave it at the default pricing. We're going to leave it at the default pricing, and then we're going to add another item. So we have our 25 coin bundle, our 5 mini mystery figs. We have the option to change the price at this point or leave it at the default pricing. We're going to leave it at the default pricing. Everything looks good. And we'll just select save. So now our core plan has been updated. We have our $10 base rate. We have both of these items on there. I listed them as optional. We can set them to not be optional. Sorry, guys. All right, so now they're not optional, which means when they subscribe, they'll automatically have these added into that plan. But if we wanted them to have that option, we could, or if we wanted to add an additional optional item, we could add that as optional. And when they check out, they would have that, the ability to select it or not. So now we have this plan and we want to subscribe a customer to it. So I have a customer already created and they are waiting for a subscription. Pinkalicious Rex. They have no subscriptions and they're just waiting for an item or subscription to be added. So we can add their subscription here in the admin console by selecting the plan. So we're selecting the core plan. We see all the pricing here. We still have the option to change this pricing specifically for this customer. We're going to start it immediately. We'll set this to manual. Okay, and so now Pinkalicious has subscribed to our core plan. It's generated an invoice and they're ready to go. So let's say Pinkalicious decides they want to go ahead and purchase an additional add-on. They can't get enough. They need something new for their playset. Let's go ahead and create a one-time purchase for one of the other items that we offer. So we're going to invoice now. We have the option to either manually configure the charge or to create a charge for an item. So we're going to select the item option, and they really want to purchase this pool playset. They need it. So pool playset is already configured in our items. It pops up with the default pricing. We can adjust the pricing here or just leave it. We're going to go ahead and create the charge for this. There's the item, the default pricing. I'll post the invoice, and they've just purchased their pool house playset. So what happens when you run out of inventory of a specific item? You would want to disable it to prevent customers from purchasing it since you don't have the stock. Or maybe it's a seasonal offering and you're not offering it any longer. So what we can do is we can disable an item. The Deluxe Garden with pool was a seasonal item. We don't have anymore. We're going to go ahead and disable this item. So we came into our configuration items, we go to item actions, and we're going to select disable an item. We get a prompt here that explains what's going to happen. Item is disabled. When we come back here, the default setting of the item screen is to show enabled items, and we can see that it's no longer showing here. If we select all, we can see it grayed out as disabled. And if we want to look just at specifically what's disabled, we can see it here. So there was an outcry. Customers really wanted another opportunity to purchase this. We did a second run. We're going to go back and we're going to re-enable this item. So it's currently disabled. We go to item actions and we're going to re-enable the item. Prompt tells us people will be able to buy this now. We're like, yes. And now the item is re-enabled. We go back, we can see enabled all 8, all green dots. And there's no items that are currently disabled. And that is our use case demo.
Well, thanks, Jay. That was very useful. It's great to see kind of that catalog in action, and hopefully our merchants can kind of see a use case here that might be similar to their business model. Let me say that I love the subscription names and the account names. I have a question though. Is there a limit to the number of items a merchant can have in their account?
No, there's not a limit.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. And another question here for Erica, just in terms of functionality, looking at what is next.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So kind of in addition to everything we've been talking about and the demo that Jay just walked you through, showing selling those items in your catalog as one-time purchases or as kind of standard configured offerings on your plans, we have some new functionality that's releasing soon in Recurly that will make it easy to build really dynamic subscription offerings for each of your customers without having to configure those offerings on a plan first. So kind of avoiding some of the configuration that Jay just showed, setting up the plans page and being able to jump straight to the subscription configuration. So this is most useful in scenarios where each of your customers could have a completely unique configuration of items on their subscription. But it's also useful if you just want to simplify your plan configuration in Recurly, and if you're managing that kind of plan to item relationship outside of our platform. This allows you to really simplify how you have stuff set up in Recurly. So it means that with this functionality, you'll configure the specific items that are included in a customer's individual subscription only when that subscription is created, without needing to create kind of preset plans for each combination of products that you offer. So if this is useful, if this kind of flexibility is useful for your business model, like I said, we have this functionality coming out for some early access testing in the next week or so, and then it'll be ready for general availability later in July. So if this is something they're interested in, please reach out to our support team, either to get looped into the early access in the next week, or to enable the functionality on your site later next month once it's ready.
Okay, great, great. Well, thanks so much, Erica and Jay, for kind of outlining catalog, giving us an entire 360 and everything involved. We really do appreciate it. But let's kind of jump right into a question and answer session. And it should only take a few minutes here. We've got a few questions that came in before, as well as a couple during the webinar here. But one to just kick it off that I had, and I think maybe this would be more applicable for you, Jay, but curious, we have merchants with so many different plans, and it seems like catalog, being able to create those items once, not every time you create a plan, is something that a merchant with many plans would find particularly useful. I'm curious, have we seen support requests like that? Folks looking to streamline their offerings in the sense that they create one item and can add it to multiple plans without having to create it over and over again.
Absolutely. For our merchants who, offer the same item at, a dozen plus price points, this is super helpful. You have a configuration where, you get, one of 5 physical items and they're billed monthly, but your customers are configuring that. So being able to create those 5 items and configure them in any number of plans is super helpful and a great way to streamline that process.
Right. Right. And as Jay mentioned earlier, there's no limit to the number of items you can have in your Recurly account. So it's really helpful to be able to create those once and then attach them to plans, because we know some of our merchants have hundreds, if not a couple thousand different plans. So that can be a very tedious process to create it over and over again. So being able to create it once is a fantastic alternative. So let's jump right into some questions we have here. So I've got one from Chris. He says, if I already have add-ons created, what is the best way to convert them to items?
So I can take that one.
Go ahead.
I can take that one, Alex. I would suggest, I think there are a couple different ways that Chris could do this, but I would suggest probably contacting Jay and the folks over in our support team, because they can really walk you through the best process depending on how many add-ons you have, how many items you're trying to create. There are probably times where it's easy for a customer to be able to manage that conversion themselves, and there are times when it might be easier and faster for us to be able to jump in and do some of the conversion for them on the back end. So I would suggest for merchants who are looking at this, if your catalog is bigger than just a couple items, that you reach out to Jay and the folks on the support side, and they can help you figure out what's the best avenue to move forwards.
Okay, great. Next one here from John. Let's see. What particular aspect of items does Recurly transfer across my tech stack? I think might be good for you, Erica.
Yeah, so it really depends on what other platforms you are looking at connecting Recurly to. So the unique identifier, which is the item code in Recurly's catalog, is the key to be able to transfer across your tech stack, so that you're absolutely guaranteed to be talking about the same item in every platform. So that's going to be the biggest one. So we obviously communicate both in our pre-built integrations with other platforms, and if you built your own integration using our APIs or client libraries, that unique identifier, that item code, is available and is transferred over. And then depending on which platform you're talking about, if you're talking about some kind of a metadata catalog that you host outside of Recurly versus a shipping platform versus an inventory management platform, you're going to want to talk about transferring different pieces of metadata across from one platform to another. So whether those are custom fields that you configure in Recurly and send over, whether it's things like accounting code that would transfer over to one of our accounting platform integrations like QuickBooks or Xero. It's really going to be dependent on which platform it is and whether the most useful metadata elements from that item are, tax information, accounting information, identifier information, size, color information, that kind of thing.
Okay, great. So Erica, it sounds like maybe if John was to share a couple of programs on his tech stack, that we might be able to help identify what would go up and down, what elements.
Yeah, yep, we could definitely help with that. Make some suggestions around what data fields are available in Recurly and talk through what data fields would be useful to transfer into those other platforms.
Okay, great. One here from Lisa. So she says she's got a really simple business. I sell 2 plans and offer several add-ons to those plans. Would I benefit from using items over add-ons?
If you're offering the same items on a number of different plans, depending on the configuration, it would make sense just to create that one item for each of your add-ons to easily add it to your plans. This also gives you some tracking with our exports as far as sales data goes, and you can also use that when you're keeping track of your inventory as well. So it does make the process of offering those add-ons just a little bit easier.
Right. Right. And Lisa, it sounds like, this might be a really good use case for your Sandbox account if you want to test out this functionality, since you only have a few plans and have several add-ons that you could just create them as items in your Sandbox account. And obviously, if you have the plans there as well, you can kind of mirror your offerings on production and see if it's something that would help you save time. Last question here from Tim. So he's interested in the functionality coming soon. What are the next steps if I were to contact you via email?
Yep, so for the functionality, the kind of dynamic subscription functionality that's coming up, just reach out to our support team. Let them know if you are interested in early access testing, which will kick off next week and will involve some kind of closer collaboration with me and my team around testing the functionality and providing feedback on what works and what doesn't work before we make the functionality generally available to the broader population of our customers. Or if you would rather wait a couple more weeks, wait until the functionality has been kind of fully buttoned up, vetted, pushed and pulled, checked and balanced, all of that kind of stuff, then just let our support team know that you'd like to be on the wait list to have this enabled on your Sandbox or production site once it's fully available to the general public.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, that's all of the questions that have come in here to us today. We want to thank you so much for joining us. This has been a fantastic presentation. Especially thank you to Erica and Jay for presenting. This has been a great just overall understanding of catalog. I do want to emphasize that this webinar will be available after. So if you want to share with any colleagues, anybody interested in item catalog, we'll have it on our YouTube channel. We'll also have it on our social channels. And then everyone that was invited today will receive a link with the recording and some bullet points from today's topic. So thanks again, everyone. Thanks, Erica and Jay. This was very useful, especially for me in understanding item catalog. So yeah, we appreciate everyone that joined us as well, and hope everyone has a nice rest of their day. Thanks so much.